پانی کی طرح فکر بہنے لگی، دریا کی روانی کی طرح فرش شبیر سے کردار بنا کر روٹھو، فرش شبیر سے کردار بنا کر اٹھو، ذکر شبیر نہ دہراؤ، کہانی کی طرح اشک نکلے جو بر محمد وآل محمد صلوات۔ شہزادہ علی اصغر کے حوالے سے ایک سوز کے چند اشعار۔ نکلے خیمے سے جو لے کر علی اصغر کو حسین، نکلے خیمے سے جو لے کر علی اصغر کو حسین، دونوں ہاتھوں پر دھرے تھے تانے لاغر کو حسین، اس پہ ڈالے ہوئے ایک کجلی سی چادر کو حسین، دھوپ میں سایہ کیے لاتے تھے دلبر کو حسین، اشک آنکھوں سے نہ تھمتے تھے، بہے جاتے تھے، لڑکھڑاتے ہوئے مجبور چلے جاتے تھے، اشک نکلے خیمے سے، پر محمد والے محمد صلوات. ایک سلام کی چند اشعار. ہے سلام اس پہ جو کہتی تھی صدا، ہائے حسین. ہے سلام اس پہ جو کہتی تھی صدا، ہائے حسین. ظالموں نے تجھے پانے نہ دیا، ہائے حسین. ہے سلام اس پہ. علی اکبر نے تیرے سامنے برچی کھائی، قتل اصغر تیرے ہاتھوں پہ ہوا، ہائے حسین. ہے سلام اس پہ نہ رہا کوئی جنازے کا اٹھانے والا، تن زخمی تیرا تیروں پہ رہا، ہائے حسین. ہے سلام جل گئے خیمے، چھنی چادر سامان، بعد تیرے یہ ہوئی غم پہ جفا، ہائے حسین. ہے سلام اس پہ گھوڑے دوڑائے لینوں نے تیرے لاش پر، جیسے تو سبتے پیامبر ہی نہ تھا، ہائے حسین. ہے سلام جس جگہ خیمہ زینب تھا، وہاں سے اب رات کو آتی ہے کانوں میں صدا، ہائے حسین. ہے سلام اس پہ عمر بھر ماتم شبیر میں گزری میں، قبر سے بھی تیرے آئے گی صدا، ہائے حسین. ہے سلام اس پہ جو فاتحہ. بر محمد وآل محمد صلوات. شہزادہ علی اصغر کے حوالے سے مرسی کی چند منگ. گہوار سے حسین جو اصغر کو لے چلے، گہوار سے حسین جو اصغر کو لے ہاتھوں پہ رکھ کے فدیہ داور کو لے بادل میں شام کے مرے انور کو لے چلائی ماں کہاں میرے دلبر کو لے چلائی ماں کہاں میرے دلبر کو لے فارغ کبھی نہیں ہوئی اکبر کے داغ کچھ روشنی ہے گھر میں میرے اس چراغ کچھ روشنی ہے گھر میں میرے اس چراغ بانوں کے اس بیان سے گھبرائے شاہ آخر قریب فوج کے لے آئے شاہ بچے کو رکھ کے ہاتھوں پہ چلائے شاہ یارو سمجھ لو جو تمہیں سمجھائے شاہ یارو سمجھ لو جو تمہیں سمجھائے کچھ تو خیال چاہیے نرنے سے جان بتلاؤ کیا قصور ہے اس بے زبان بتلاؤ کیا قصور ہے اس بے زبان یہ سن کے غرملا نے اٹھایا کمان تاکہ خطا شیعہ نے ننھی سی جان مارا خود ننگ شاہ کے ابرو کمان ہے مٹایا بانوں کے نام و نشان ہے مٹایا بانوں کے نام و نشان چلائی موت ہائے نہ تجھ کو امان بچے نے سیم سیم کے ہاتھوں پہ جان بچے نے سیم سیم کے ہاتھوں پہ جان شے نے سوائے شکر زبان سے نہ کچھ چاند اپنا زیر خاک چھپایا بس تربت سے اٹھ کے آپ نے خیمے کا روک لیکن قدم نہ آگے کو اٹھتے تھے موت لیکن قدم نہ آگے کو اٹھتے تھے موت کہتے تھے کیا کہوں گا جو بچے کو ماں بانو ضرور ہنسلیوں والے کو ماں بانو ضرور ہنسلیوں والے کو ماں گہوار سے حسین جو اصغر کو لے چلے بر محمد وآل محمد صلوات.
پر محمد وآل محمد صلوات اللہم صلی علی محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجہم. سب سے پہلے تو فرحان بھائی کی اور ان کے ساتھ جو سارے ہمارے بھائی پڑھ رہے تھے ان کی صحت و سلامتی کے لیے ایک بآواز بلند صلوات. اللہم صلی علی محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجہم. I would also request a Surah Fatiha for all the Mu'mineen and Marhumeen whose names are on the Jafriya Memorial Board. تو ایک ان سب کے لیے ان کے مرحومین کے لیے ایک سورہ فاتحہ کی درخواست. So a few reminders, just as we have been making the last few nights also, کہ سب سے پہلی بات parking. تو parking does get filled up pretty quickly. نماز سے پہلے parking تقریباً بھر جاتی ہے. تو the گزارش is کہ there is plenty of parking available in the church parking lot, which is less than half a block further down this way. تو اگر یہاں parking نہیں ہے تو please do not double park. There is plenty of parking once again at the church parking lot. وہاں پر جا کے اپنی گاڑی کھڑی کیجیے. بلکہ request as usual is کہ if you're able, if you come in early enough, and if you can park in the church, so you can leave some space available for the elderly who come a bit later. کل کا پروگرام جو ہے روز عاشور, it will inshallah start at 10:30 with اعمال عاشور, اور اس کے بعد inshallah we'll have Friday prayers, اور Friday prayers کے بعد around 2 o'clock or so inshallah we'll have Majlis, اور مجلس کے بعد inshallah we'll have فاقہ شکنی here as well. And then later tomorrow evening inshallah رات کے 9 بجے کے آس پاس we'll have مجلس شام غریبہ. Dr. Mithani Sahab and Farhan Bhai will also be with us until Saturday for the Sohn Majlis as well. With that, I would like to request a salawat before I invite Dr. Akbar Mithani Sahab to the member. Bar Muhammad wa ali Muhammad salawat. Allahumma salli ala
صلوات علی محمد و آل محمد. سورة المباركة الفاتحة. ایک مرتبہ پھر صلوات پڑھ لے محمد و آل محمد. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين شفيع المذنبين وخاتم النبيين نبينا وشفينا وحبيب قلوبنا وطبيب نفوسنا أبي القاسم محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المنتجبين بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اللهم ارزقني شفاعة الحسين يوم الورود وثبت لي قدم صدق عندك مع الحسين وأصحاب الحسين الذين بذلوا مهجهم دون الحسين عليه السلام أما بعد فقد قال الله سبحانه وتعالى في كتابه المجيد وفرقانه الحميد وهو أصدق الصادقين وقوله الحق أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وسيق الذين كفروا إلى جهنم زمرا وثيق الذين اتقوا ربهم إلى الجنة زمرا آمنا بالله وصدق الله العلي العظيم صلوات پر لے محمد وآل محمد. Elders of the community, my brothers and sisters in Islam, Salamun alaykum jami'an wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. أعظم الله أجورنا وأجوركم بمسابنا بأبي عبد الله الحسين عليه الصلاة والسلام. If I can request somebody to maybe close that door because it's just distracting me. I'm so sorry. Thank you so much. Recite a salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. We have arrived tonight on the night of Ashura. And this is a great night. It's a night that demands us to be in the worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. For the last 9 nights, we've talked about many things. We've had philosophical discourses. We've talked about morality. We've talked about ethics. We've talked about spirituality. But tonight, we talk about Hussein. Just Hussein. Because tonight is the night of Aba Abdullah al-Hussein. Tomorrow, inshallah, we will do Messiah. But we want to conclude our series focusing on Aba Abdullah al-Hussein. You know, there is a very famous ziyarat, and there are many famous ziyarats actually related to Aba Abdullah al-Hussein. In fact, any event in Islam you will see, whether it is Laylatul Qadr, whether it is 15 Shaban, whether it is Roze Arafah, whatever, whether it is Eid, Eid al-Azha, or Eid al-Fitr, whichever day you will have, you will see that there is always a special ziyarah of Aba Abdullah al-Hussein. For every moment. For every, whether it is a commemoration or celebration. And one of the common things that you will see in the ziyarah of Imam Hussein alayhi salam is the famous words that were originally said by our sixth holy Imam, Imam Ja'far as-Sadiq salawatullahi wa salamu alayhi. And that particular words, those words of the sixth Imam means what? Ya Hussein, ya laytani kuntu ma'ak. Yes? Oh Hussein, if only I were with you. If only I were with you. There is a beautiful hadith of our eighth holy Imam, Imam Rada salawatullahi wa salamu alayhi. And Ibn Shabib, who was one of the companions who came to the eighth holy Imam, he says to him that the eighth holy Imam says to Ibn Shabib, he says, "Oh Ibn Shabib, if you wish to have the same level of reward, the same level of reward as did the companions of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein on the day of Ashura, then whenever you remember the events of Karbala, then say, Ya laytani kuntu ma'akum fanafuza fawzan azima." It's from the eighth Imam. So the question we have to ask ourselves is that what does it really mean to be with Imam Hussein? Ya laytani kuntu ma'akum. Oh Hussein, if only I was with you. Yeah? Famous words of the ziyarah. If only I was with you. Ya laytani kuntu ma'ak. So what does it mean, to be with Imam Hussein? Yeah? Can I still be with Imam Hussein after all these years, after the events of Karbala have passed? Can I still be with Imam Hussein? Or is this just a slogan that I say? A slogan where we just say that, oh, I wish I had been there. Is that what it is? Is it just a slogan, right? Is it really my choice to be with Imam Hussein? Or is it that Imam Hussein would choose me in order for me to be with him? Whose choice is it? Right? If it is his choice, then what do I have to do existentially in order to become deserving of being with Imam Hussein? Ya laytani kuntu ma'akum. Can I be with Imam Hussein partially? Or is it that my whole being and my whole essence needs to be with Hussein? These are the questions we need to ponder over and analyze today in the lecture today, inshallah. And my lecture will be in two parts, because I have been asked to take a break in the middle, because the community members want to make an announcement in the middle. So we will have the lecture in two parts. So if you are with me in the first part, inshallah, you will have a good time in the middle, when the community people make their announcement, and then you will connect with me again. Yeah, don't lose me. Don't go out, please, for a smoke. Just be with me. Be with me, because we are going to talk about being with Imam Hussein. You see, there are three groups that claim that they are with Imam Hussein. And I want you to listen to me carefully, because whenever I talk about this, sometimes people misinterpret what I'm saying. So please don't misinterpret me. There are three groups that claim to be with Imam Hussein. Two of those groups are not with Imam Hussein. One group is definitely with Imam Hussein. And that is the group that we want to be in. Yeah? So the first group is that group that is really stuck at the level of rituals without any understanding and ma'rifah. That's the first group, right? They are actually even committed at the social and political level even with Imam Hussein, right? but they are stuck at the level of rituals. Wearing black clothes, doing azadari, doing matam, attending the Majlis of Imam Hussein, going to julus, all of these things they carry out, this group, right? But they have no relationship of Imam Hussein in their hearts and their soul. For this group, they have no interest in the goals and the mission of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein. They have no interest in that. They just want to carry out the rituals of Imam Hussein, yeah? This group feels that doing these rituals is a ticket to Jannah. Yeah? It's a ticket to Jannah. There is no change, there is no transformation of our faith, our morality and ethics, our character development, spiritual elevation. They have no business with that. It's just doing the azan, stuck at the level of the rituals that we carry out. Right? But the rituals have not entered the heart and soul of that individual in this first group. For this group, they are not with Imam Hussein because they are stuck at the level of rituals. For them, Karbala is just a cultural expression of Karbala. It's a cultural expression. Some of them culturally will do azan in a certain way. In a different country, people will do azan in a different way. In another country, they will do azan in a different way. And we are very quick to actually criticize. कि ये कैसे मातम कर रहा है? ये कैसे अज़ा कर रहा है? ये सफ़ कर रहा है? सफ़ तो dancing जैसा लग रहा है. We are very quick to judge. Let me give you one piece of advice. When it comes to the azan of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, don't judge. Let them do what they want. Let them culturally express Imam Hussein the way they want. But to be stuck at the level of just the cultural expression of adha, carrying out the rituals at a superficial and superfluous level without it entering your heart, that group is not with Imam Hussein. The azan and the lamentations have not entered the hearts and the souls. Because why? Because there is no ma'rifah of Imam Hussein. They have no business with the mission and the goals of Imam Hussein. Right? We need to understand that the azan needs to enter our hearts so that we become the agents through which the mission and the values of Imam Hussein propagates. This is the first group. And this group is prevalent, right, throughout the history of Islam. It's prevalent. Examples of this were, for example, the Khawarij in the time of Imam Ali alayhi salam, yes? The Khawarij were ones who they were with Imam Ali, right? They thought that they were physically with Imam Ali, but they were not with Imam Ali. Listen to my words carefully, huh? They were physically with Imam Ali, but they were not with Imam Ali. Right? They were the ones who fought against him, right? The Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam the Holy Prophet says about them, about this group. What does the Holy Prophet say about the Khawarij? The Holy Prophet said, they speak the truth. The Holy Prophet said, they speak the truth with their words. And then the Holy Prophet points towards his throat. And he says, but the words do not go beyond this. So they don't enter the heart. It's the words of the Holy Prophet about the Khawarij. It's the same group that Muawiyah is able to capitalize on, right? By raising the Quran in the Battle of Siffin, he is able to do the same thing, right? People who are at that apparent level, at that superfluous level, right? Having not understood, they get sucked into the whole plan of Muawiyah when he raises the Quran on the spears, right? In Siffin. We talked about this group even in Karbala, right? In the army of Umar ibn Sa'ad, these were the groups who were the Qari of the Quran. They fasted, they prayed on time, better than us. Yeah, they fasted, they prayed, they did all of the worship, they were the Qari of Quran. Umar ibn Sa'ad is another example of this group, right? He knew Imam Hussein, but he is stuck at that level that is not moving any further. So for this group, religion really is culture and its rituals, right? And what happens is they are still quite connected and attached to their worldly based desires, right? They have no interest in purification of their soul or refinement of their soul or the development of their soul. No, these are the same people who are not interested in that, yes. But on the 12 days of Muharram, they are the ardent people, they'll be here to carry out the rituals, right? And there were people like them, like this group of people were also actually in Karbala in the camp of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. Now listen to me carefully, yeah? Because sometimes we don't know the history of Karbala because we recite Masaib and we don't talk about it very much. There was a man in the camp of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. His name was Dahaq bin Abdullah al-Mashriqi. Dahaq bin Abdullah al-Mashriqi. He had pledged allegiance to Imam Hussein conditionally. Conditional allegiance. He said to Imam Hussein that I will be with you in Karbala. I will come with you in Karbala as long as your companions are with you. But if I feel that there is a time when the battle is not going to be won, then I'm going to leave. He was conditional. And it is said, of course, that on the day of Ashura, when Imam Hussein was fighting, and now he realized, as the companions of Imam Hussein started to get martyred, he now realized that, you know what? We're not winning this battle, man. We're not going to win this battle. So what does he do? He now comes to Imam Hussein. He comes to Imam Hussein alayhi salam, and he says to Imam Hussein, he says, you remember, I told you I was going to be with you. Remember, our topic is to be with Imam Hussein. Yeah? Ya laytani kuntu ma'akum. He says, you remember, I told you that I would be with you only until such time that I feel that we are going to win the battle. But the moment I feel that we are not, I am going to be out of here. So he comes to Imam Hussein and he says, you know, that moment has come. I don't think you're winning this battle. So he says that, you know, I want to leave. And Imam Hussein alayhi salam says to him, yes, I've withdrawn my allegiance to you. Right? And this man says that now I am withdrawing my bayat to you. I am withdrawing my allegiance to you. Mashriqi. Yes? And Imam Hussein alayhi salam says to Mashriqi, he says, how are you going to get out of here? Like, how are you going to leave? We're in the middle of a battle here, right? It's the day of Ashura. This is the day of Ashura that this happened. The day of Ashura. He said, we're in the day of Ashura, we're in the middle of the battle. How are you going to leave? And he says to Imam, he says that I already have a horse hidden in the tent outside on the outskirts of Karbala. He says, I have a backup plan. He already had a backup plan. Right? And he fled to a nearby village. Al-Mashriqi, he fled to a nearby village. What a tragic fate of an individual who made a horrendous choice on leaving the Imam on the day of Ashura. And in fact, Al-Mashriqi is actually one of the narrators of the history of Karbala. Because for the first part of the battle, he was there. And after he left, he actually narrated what happened. But he left the Imam. So you can be with Imam Hussein, but you can also leave Imam Hussein. Sometimes we are like that, aren't we? I'm not talking about you. I'm honestly just talking about me. MashaAllah, you are amongst the third group, which we will come to. Right? We are sometimes like Mashriqi, right? Who was physically with Imam Hussein, yet he was not with Imam Hussein. Right? We will sometimes attend rituals, but when the time comes and we have to fully submit to his teachings, we have to be in full obedience to the teachings of the Imam, then we make excuses and we run away. We think of our comforts, right? My wealth, my job, my family, right? All of this come to us at that time. Then we run away. Ya laytani kuntu ma'ak, though. I am with Imam Hussein. You know, Ayatollah Mutahari, he says something beautiful. He says that many of us, Ayatollah Mutahari says that many of us say that we feel good. We will follow the religion of Imam Hussein. Because the religion of Imam Hussein is easy. We just come to Majlis, do azah, do matam, go to julus. Yes, it's going to be hot in Los Angeles, 12 o'clock to 4 p.m. It even went later, 5 p.m. But it's okay, we can do it one day. Imam Hussein ka deen bahut aasan hai. Right? It's very easy to follow the religion of Imam Hussein. But Mutahari says that we cannot follow the religion of Allah. This is what we say. The religion of Allah, that's very hard. The religion of Allah, you have to pray on time. You have to fast in the summer. If you have money, you have to go to Hajj. You have to pay zakat and homes. Oh man, that 20%, that's a killer, man. At the end of the year, that 20%, calculating that 20%, what's the loophole, man? What's the loophole, right? We come, everybody will come. What's the loophole? I look for loopholes too. What's the loophole? I'm not talking about you, I'm talking about me. That 20% is very hard. You need to tie me up, January 31st, right? Before I can take out that 20%. The deen of Allah is very hard. The deen of Imam Hussein is very easy. And Mutahari says that these people do not know that the deen of Hussein is the deen of Allah. They don't know that. Right? It's very difficult. I'm asked for you to come forward, please. If you can move forward. There are... So that's the first group. Now the second group is the group that intellectualizes and rationalizes the events of Karbala. And in so doing, they feel that they are with Imam Hussein. Ya laytani kuntu ma'ak. Right? They may actually even be well-wishers of the Imam. They are well-wishers of the Imam. But they want to intellectualize and rationalize Imam Hussein and the events of Karbala. They want to look at Karbala from an analytical perspective, from an intellectual perspective, from a rational perspective, from an academic perspective. These are the buzzwords, right? Academic perspective. Let's analyze Imam Hussein from an academic perspective, right? And what they understand is that they try and rationalize, intellectualize, analyze, but again, that analysis and intellectualization of the interpretations of Karbala remains at the level of the mind, at the level of the intellect. It does not move to the heart and the soul. And some of the great people of Medina and Makkah were in this group. They were the well-wishers of Imam Hussein. They loved Imam Hussein. It's not that they didn't love him, but they were not with Imam Hussein. They did not go with Imam Hussein. One of these giants was Abdullah ibn Abbas. Abdullah ibn Abbas, was one of the companions of Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salatu wasalam. Yeah. Abdullah ibn Abbas relates, and this is in Nafasul Mahmum of Sheikh Abbas Qumi, he relates, he says that I saw Imam Hussein alayhi salam standing near the door of the Kaaba, and Jibrail's hand was with him. He was with Jibrail, and Jibrail was holding his hand. And Jibrail was calling out that hasten to offer allegiance to the proof of Allah, to the hujjat of Allah, the mighty and the glorified. It's not that they did not know who Imam Hussein was, but it was at the level of their intellectualization of Imam Hussein, yes? Abdullah ibn Umar was another one, actually intellectualizing Imam Hussein. He was a well-wisher of Imam Hussein. They were well-wishers in that they would say to Imam Hussein, you know what? Don't go this way. Don't go towards Iraq. Why don't you take a detour and go to Yemen? And I will make arrangements for you in Yemen. I have my people. Abdullah ibn Abbas said, I have my people for you. I'll make all the arrangements for you. Take a detour. It doesn't make sense that you are going towards Iraq and also you're taking children and you're taking women with you. It doesn't make sense. Right? The argument was that your action, Ya Aba Abdullah, is not logical. It doesn't make sense. So why don't you do this? They genuinely cared for the Imam. Right? They were right in their own logic, but they did not realize that that it was not in conformity with the logic of Aba Abdullah al-Hussein. Their logic was the logic of wise men, but the logic of Hussein was a higher level of logic. It was the logic of a martyr. Yeah? And that was beyond their comprehension. Right? These are people sometimes, they're interested in their own personal interests, their own personal agendas sometimes, and also there's political gains, right? We have people like that, right, don't we, in our community, right? Personal agenda, right? Everybody has their personal agenda. Sometimes what you do when you have that personal agenda is you will take a bakra and put him forward. Right? You are the brains behind the bakra, right? You want to, you take a sacrifice, you take somebody simpleton like myself and you put me forward. Let me be the mouthpiece. And if it goes well, then I'll take credit. And if it doesn't go well, then it was not me, it was him. This is the intellectualization, right? Abdullah ibn Abbas's plan was very sound politically to Imam Hussein. It was very sound plan. He says, go this way, go that way. I have people for you, waiting for you. I've made arrangements for you. Do not take women, do not take children, right? And we sometimes in our communities, we have the same group of intellectuals and analysts when it comes to Karbala. Academic analysts, intellectualization of Karbala. And some of our own scholars, unfortunately, have resorted to this. Right? Why don't we keep Imam Hussein's movement at an intellectual level, at a logical level, at an analytical level, at an academic level? These are the people who will say to you that, it doesn't make sense to do lamentations, to do azah, to do matam, to emotionally express your love for Aba Abdullah al-Hussein. It doesn't make any sense. Let's just look at Hussein from an intellectual level. MashaAllah, MashaAllah, MashaAllah. The children are even moved, alhamdulillah, with my speech. I've never experienced this before, actually, anywhere else, only in Jafariya, MashaAllah. So these people, right, they are the scholars. Even the scholars will say, nahi, rona dhona nahi chahiye. Rone ki zarurat nahi hai. Azah ki zarurat nahi hai. Matam ki zarurat nahi hai. We don't need all of this. We don't need azah. We don't need to lament. We don't need to cry. We don't need to do matam. Let us just analyze Imam Hussein academically. To the extent that some of these scholars, and even if you look at YouTube now today, they are our scholars. Some of these scholars will intellectually say that yes, Banu Umayyah were bad, but there were some good parts to them. Look at the contribution that they made to science and art. Seriously? Seriously? This is where we've come to? In that intellectualization and academic analysis, they lose the fact that that intellectualization has not entered the heart and the soul. And so for this group, there is no reason to say, Ya laytani kuntu ma'ak, because it makes no difference. They are not with Imam Hussein. But then there is the third group. The third group is the group that have clearly understood the status of Imam Hussein. They have intellectualized him. They have understood his status. They have his ma'rifah. They have a commitment to follow his teachings. They have total commitment to Imam Hussein. They understand the wilayah of Aba Abdullah al-Hussein. And that intellectualization, that ma'rifah of Hussein has now entered and becomes ingrained in their heart and their soul. They have a passionate and emotional connection and manifestation to Hussein. Don't ever get trapped into this trap that no, we just need to think about Karbala. We just need to learn from Karbala. We just need to intellectualize Karbala. The reason is that until you have that emotional connection, until you show your passion, until you show that emotion and emotive reaction, you will never appreciate Karbala. But the lamentations have to come with ma'rifah. The lamentations have to come with understanding. The lamentations have to come with a commitment to his cause and his mission. And when you have that in you, then you are doing lamentations of Aba Abdullah al-Hussein. Then what you are doing, you are now opening your heart existentially. You are opening your heart to Imam Hussein existentially. That is when Hussein will choose you. You don't need to choose him. That is when you become Ya laytani kuntu ma'ak. You don't believe me? Ask Zuhair ibn Kain. Ask Hur ibn Yazid al-Riyahi. Yes? Their intellectualization of Hussein entered their heart. Zuhair ibn Kain just has a few moments of a conversation with Hussein in his tent. He used to blame Imam Ali alayhi salam for the death of Osman. Zuhair ibn Kain, it's in one point, he's avoiding the Imam. In that whole journey, he's avoiding the Imam. They have to stop at a place to get water. And Imam Hussein calls him. And the narrations say that their meeting was a few minutes. It wasn't lengthy meeting where Imam Hussein gave him one proof after another, academic analysis and this and that. No. A few minutes with Hussein. He went in darkness. He came out enlightened. This is when Hussein chooses you, when you expand that capacity within yourself, where the love of Hussein now enters your heart. The intellectualization enters your heart. You have his ma'arifah. Yes? We talked about Mashriqi, right? On the same day of Ashura, there was another companion of Imam Hussein. His name was Muhammad bin Bashir al-Hadrami. Muhammad bin Bashir al-Hadrami, he found out on the day of Ashura, he finds out on the day of Ashura that his son has been taken captive in Rai, which was in Tehran, present-day Tehran. He finds out that his son has been taken captive, right? The father emotionally breaks down in front of Imam Hussein on the day of Ashura. He emotionally breaks down in front of Imam Hussein. And he says to the Imam, he says, "Oh my Imam, I leave his affairs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala." He says, I do not like to be captive. I do not want him to be captive. I do not like that he is captive and I am still alive. Now look at the response of Imam Hussein. Imam Hussein sees the distress on the face of this father. His son has been taken captive. He's been kidnapped in the Rai. And they were asking for a ransom. So Imam Hussein says to Hadrami, he says, go. He says, go and free your son. I am taking away my bayat from you. Don't worry about it. And it was genuine on the part of Imam Hussein. Because why? He's Ya Rahmatul Lil Wasi'ah. He is the all-encompassing mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Imam says to him, go and free your son. He even says to him that let me give you some resources. Let me give you some money. Let me help you so that you can go and free your son. I see the emotional distress on your face. And what does Hadrami do? Hadrami says that there is no way I'm going to leave you, O Aba Abdullah. He refuses to leave. And he says, may the wild beasts eat me alive if I were to leave you alone, O Aba Abdullah. I will not leave you alone. This has now entered the heart and the soul. Yes? The fate of two individuals, yes? Mashriqi and Hadrami. Yes? One chose to stay, the other one chose to leave. Right? This is what Ashura is, my friends. Ashura is the day of choices. We have to make that reflection in ourselves. وَهَدَيْنَاهُ النَّجْدَيْنِ. The Quran says, وَهَدَيْنَاهُ النَّجْدَيْنِ. We have shown the human being two paths. One for guidance and one for misguidance. This is what Ashura is. Yes? Good versus bad. Righteousness over evilness. Light over darkness. Submission over transgression. Hussein versus Yazid. This is Karbala. It's very convenient to say, Ya laytani kuntu ma'akum. I wish I was there with you, O Hussein. But to be with Hussein, you have to analyze yourself. Which group do I belong to? Which group do I belong to? Recite the salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Nahmaduhu wa nusalli ala rasulihil kareem wa alihi tayyibin tahirin. Assalamu ala al-Husayn wa Ali ibn al-Husayn wa ala awlad al-Husayn wa ala ashab al-Husayn. Dear brothers and sisters, assalamu alaikum. Most of you know this thing, but there are lots of new faces here. Jafriya does fundraising twice a year, one in the Mahe Mubarak Ramadan, and the second one is in the month of Muharram. So this is the second of the two fundraisings we have, and these are the only two times Jafriya asked for your support. We'll go through a quick preview for you just so you have a view into what the annual expenses are, and then we'll put forward, inshallah, our goal for all of us. And intent is, inshallah, for us to take no more than 20 minutes. So we will stop, inshallah, at about 10:20 or so, inshallah. So as Hassan is setting up the slide for you, I'll mention that we have broken down the expenses in a few large chunks. One is the program expenses, other is utilities, Sunday school, accounting, maintenance and repairs. These are the 5 or so large buckets of the expenses. Altogether, the rough yearly expenses are about $97,000 a year, give or take a little bit. Some things have actually gone up this year, but we're sticking with about $97,000 a year. So our intent is to raise half of that amount during the month of Ramadan and the second half during the month of Muharram, inshallah. And once again, these are the only two times we do our fundraising. So while Abid Bhai and Hassan is trying to set it up, I'll begin with a quick note. Perhaps it's a question for all of us. And the question is, why Allah has extended the Day of Judgment? How come we don't have to do our Hisab Kitab the day I die? Why do we have to wait for all this time before Allah will do the Hisab Kitab from all of us? And I heard this from an alim just a few days ago from the Riwayat, and one logic behind this thing is that this is a sign of Allah's Rahmaniyat, that He wants to give us more time for all the good that we have done in His name, so we can benefit from this goodness until the Day of Judgment, which could be hundreds of thousands of years from now, which could be tomorrow. So ये खुदावंद करीम की रहमानियत का सबूत है कि खुदा चाहता है कि जब तक आपके किसी भी अच्छे काम के असरात बाकी हैं, असरात, any remnants of any good that we have done, Allah wants to reward us, continue rewarding us until the Day of Judgment. So anything that you put towards an Imam Barga, anything that you put towards a masjid, anything that you put towards a lasting cause will inshallah give you rewards, not for a day, not for 2 days, but until the day of judgment. I mean, think about this thing for a second. What could last this long? So that's the first premise for this thing, that whatever you give, this inshallah will give you sawab from now until the day of judgment. So we have, this is a breakdown of the rough expenses we have for the year, and once again it's about $48,000 is what our target is for each of these two fundraisings. So this is our goal for tonight, inshallah. We're looking for 3 pledges between brothers and sisters for $5,000 each. We'll ask for 5 musallas at $3,000 each, and musallas are to my right and left. At the very top, these are the musallas. You can have the name of your marhumeens, your parents, yourself, your children, your loved one, anyone. And the intent is for us to have Surah Fatiha towards these mu'mineen as often as we can, and inshallah, every single event we have, that's what the intent is. Then we'll ask for 10 monthly pledges for $100 each, and that should be very simple for most of us. And lastly, we'll ask for some young ones over here. MashaAllah, we have lots of young folks over here to make it easy for them. This is going to be a few bricks for $500 each. And these bricks are what you see again on my right or left, the bricks that are underneath the musallas. And this also is something that's going to be inshallah lasting. Doesn't matter if Jafriya is here at this location today, tomorrow it might be somewhere else, but the intent is to carry these names forward wherever Jafriya goes. So with that, I'll go back to the request for 3 pledges for $5,000 each, please. I'm looking for 3 pledges, please. So either from brothers or sisters. I'll quiet down for a second. You can send a text to myself, Abad Bhai, Musawar Bhai, Raza Merchant, anybody, any of the volunteers, or you can just raise your hand. I'm looking for 3 pledges, please, for $5,000 each. MashaAllah, we have one. We have 2. One for 3,000. Bar Muhammad wa ali Muhammad salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajil far. MashaAllah, we have 1 pledge for $5,000. Bar Muhammad wa ali Muhammad salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajil farajahum. Inshallah, we do want to continue moving forward, so I'm looking for 2 more pledges, once again from brothers or sisters for $5,000 each. And as far as the musalla pledge is concerned, please, and we'll be in touch with you afterwards as well to confirm the names of the marhumin that you would like to have on the musalla or the bricks. So once again, 2 names is what I'm looking for. I'll just quote one hadith from Paygambari Khuda, Ashoor Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajil farajhum. हुजूर फरमाते हैं कि तुम्हारे माल में से तुम्हारा हिस्सा सिर्फ वो है जो तुमने खाकर फना कर दिया, पहनकर बोसीदा कर दिया या सदका देकर आगे रवाना कर दिया. So think about this thing for a second. I'll try and translate this thing in English also. Okay, whatever you have as your mal, as your belongings, you either eat out of it and it just goes away. MashaAllah, we have 1 more pledge for $3,000. Bar Muhammad wa ali Muhammad salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajil farajahum. So brothers, I'm still looking for 3 pledges for musalla, and we're still looking for 2 pledges for $5,000, please. So either whatever you have from your belongings, you eat and it goes away, goes to waste. Second is you use it. You wear it or you use it and it diminishes. And the third is you do sadaqah in the name of Allah and it stays forever. So once again, whether it's $1, whether it's $1,000, whether it's $100,000, inshallah, it'll be giving you benefits in perpetuity, inshallah. So 2 more pledges, inshallah, for 5,000. I haven't heard anything from ladies' side yet. And you can split this thing in any ways. If you also want to make a donation in a different amount, that's fine as well. We're looking for 3 pledges for musallas at 3,000 or 2 pledges for $5,000 each. I'm sorry. Once again, we haven't heard anything from sisters yet. You can split that among the family, your friends, and for that matter, any amount that you would like to donate, we'll take it. MashaAllah, we have a pledge for 1,200. Bar Muhammad wa ali Muhammad salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajil farajahum. MashaAllah, from the sister side, we have 1 musalla. Bar Muhammad wa ali Muhammad salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajil farajahum. So we're down to 2 musalla and 2 $5,000 pledges. We have another pledge for $1,000. Bar Muhammad wa ali Muhammad salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajil farajahum. MashaAllah, we have another one for $1,200. Bar Muhammad wa ali Muhammad salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajil farajahum. I just got a note from our brother. He requested not to mention his name. MashaAllah, he's one of our core hardcore volunteers, and he is pledging a monthly donation for $100. Bar Muhammad wa ali Muhammad salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajil farajahum. Again, I'm looking for 2 pledges, 2 more pledges for 5,000, and 2 pledges for 2 masallas. Think about this thing. You can put your name, you can put the name of your parents. Our parents have done so much for us. I for sure can never, ever in my lifetime pay for what they have done for me. That's one way for us to try and think about how can I repay my parents. I have no idea when I pass away, is there anybody who is going to do salawat or fatiha for me? I don't know. But inshallah, if I have my name on there, hopefully it's guaranteed that as long as this center is here, inshallah, till the day of judgment, that surah fatiha, inshallah, will continue coming. MashaAllah, we have 1 more for 5,000. Bar Muhammad wa ali Muhammad salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajil farajahum. We need 1 last pledge for 5,000, and we're still looking for 2 more pledges for masala. Once again, I feel like I'm repeating myself, but you can put the names of your parents, yourself, your children. This is something I just mentioned is going to last forever, inshallah. मौला मुत्तक़ियान की एक हदीस है, इमाम अली अलैहिस्सलाम, अल्लाहुम्मा सल्लि अला मुहम्मद व आले मुहम्मद व अज्जिल फरजहम। इमाम फरमाते हैं कि 3 चीज़ें इंसान को रज़ाए इलाही तक पहुंचा देती हैं, and that's very big and very deep. हम नमाज पढ़ते हैं, वाजिबात अदा करते हैं, तो उनमें उमूमन हमारी नीयत होती है क़ुर्बतन इल्लल्लाह, कि मैं अल्लाह के करीब होना चाहता हूँ, अल्लाह के करीब होने के लिए पढ़ना चाह रहा हूँ नमाज। This hadith that Imam is saying, it is about रज़ाए इलाही। क़ुर्बत और चीज़ है, मैं किसी करीब बैठ सकता हूँ, but खुदा is saying, Imam is saying कि this is how you get, आप खुदा की रज़ा को हासिल कर सकते हो। And ये कौन कह रहा है? जिसको खुदा ने खुद अपनी रज़ा दे दी है। He is telling us that there are 3 things that'll get you close, that'll get you to the Raza Ilahi. First one is kasrate istighfar, seeking forgiveness. The second is inkisari, humbleness. And the third Imam says, the third piece that gets you to Razai Ilahi is kasrate sadqa. The more you give, the closer, not just closer, but the closer you are to obtaining and achieving Razai Ilahi. And this is, I wish we could spend more time on this thing, but this is phenomenally big. So once again, I'm looking for one more pledge for 5,000, and inshallah we'll move forward. Or I think we're also looking for 2 more pledges for Musalla. 2 more pledges for Musalla. I feel like I'm repeating myself, which I am, but the names, you see the examples there. These Musallas will inshallah be there as long as this Jafriya Islamic Society remains on this planet Earth. So 2 more pledges for the Musalla. You can break it up into payment plans, whatever is convenient for you. Just 2 more pledges for Musalla, please. MashaAllah, we have one more from the ladies. Bar Muhammad wa ali Muhammad salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajil farajahum. We're down to the last one on the Musalla before we move forward. Just one more Musalla, and then inshallah we can move forward. Once again, you can put your name down, your parents' name down, anybody's name down. You can even donate this to the name of any of the Imams, because that could be a hadiyah for them. They certainly don't need anything from us, but this could be a show of your love for them, as a hadiyah for them as well. You can do that too. Okay, we got about 5 or so minutes remaining, so I'll move forward. But think about this thing is that we're still looking for one more Musalla. Yourself, your kids, you, your wife, your husband, your parents. You can put anybody's name there. Now we're looking for 10 pledges for $100 a month, monthly commitment. 10 pledges, and this should be easy enough for most of us. Most of us. And $10 pledges for monthly $100 donations. This amounts to probably $3.50 on a daily basis. And think about this thing is that every event we have, the intent is for us to request Surah Fatiha for all the names that are on these plaques. So you'll be getting, mashallah, we have today probably 600 people, if not more, maybe 800 people. So imagine this thing is that if all 600 people who you don't owe anything to, if they're reciting salawat for you, if they're reciting Surah Fatiha for you, inshallah, this is a tremendous amount of sawab. MashaAllah, we have one more Musalla. Bar Muhammad wa ali Muhammad salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajil farajahum. So anybody, please raise your hand for $100 pledge on a monthly basis. $100 pledge for a monthly basis. So, mashallah, I just received a commitment for $100 monthly pledge. Bar Muhammad wa ali Muhammad salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajil. MashaAllah, I received 2 more outside. Bar Muhammad wa ali Muhammad salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajil faraj. Dr. Akbar Mithani had made lots of references to Ayatollah Jawadi Amili. There is one riwayat I'm remembering also from him, and this is also about infaq. So Ayatollah Jawadi Amili, he says कि खुदा की राह में इंफाक करने की मिसाल यानी कि सदका देने की मिसाल ऐसी है जैसे आप किसी जारी पानी में से, like a running river, if you take some water out, there is never a gap. More water fills up that gap right away, immediately. तो वो जगह कभी खाली नहीं होती. और ये खुदावंद करीम का सूरह बकरा में कम से कम 4 आयतें हैं कि जो कि इस बात का कहती हैं कि भाई कौन है, I run around a lot, कौन है जो कि खुदा को कर्ज़ हसना दे. कौन है? कोई है जो कि खुदा को कर्ज हसना दे, सूरह बकरा आयत नंबर 245। कोई है जो खुदा को कर्ज हसना दे ताकि मैं उसको कई गुना करके लौटा सकूं। दिस इज़ नॉट अ प्रॉमिस फ्रॉम मी, दिस इज़ नॉट अ प्रॉमिस फ्रॉम एनीबडी ओवर हियर, दिस इज़ अ प्रॉमिस फ्रॉम हिम। He's saying, I'm looking for Qazr Hasana from you just so I can pay it back to you multi-fold. So, Abdul Bhai, we have 3 pledges for $100 each. Well, MashaAllah, we have now 4 pledges for $100 each. We're just looking for 6 more pledges for $100 each. That's $3.50 on a daily basis. The price of less than a coffee. MashaAllah. We have one more from Brother Hassan. But Muhammad wa ali Muhammad salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajil farajahum. We're down to 5. And I tell you, there is something about the sense of commitment and the sense of belief in these things. I know a person myself very closely, and this person just lost their job about a month ago, maybe 2 months ago. And this person is giving more now than they had prior to them losing their job. This is faith. This is faith, because you know. And again, this is not my promise, this is not my commitment, that's what Allah is saying. If you give, there are lots of riwayat and hadith in Quran talks about this thing. Surah Baqarah, ayat 221. You guys have heard this thing a million times. Okay, anything that you give in the name of Allah is an example of a grain that sprouts 7 shakhin. And from these 7 shakhin, there's going to be 100 more. So the minimum that he's committing is 700 times. So 5 more pledges for $100 on a monthly basis, please. Ladies, sisters, we haven't heard much other than the musallab and one commitment for the $5,000. So I firmly believe ladies and sisters are the ones who run the household. So I'm looking for some commitments from ladies' side so we can inshallah move forward. MashaAllah, we have one for $1,000. Bar Muhammad wa ali Muhammad salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajil farajahum. देखिए हम जिनके मानने वाले हैं वो सखियों की, I wish that there was a different word that I could use. And I'm really looking at the clock here, it runs faster than it should. मौला अली के ज़माने में एक दफ़ा वो कहीं सफ़र पे जा रहे थे, सफ़र की तैयारी हो चुकी थी, everything was loaded up. उस असना में एक साइल आया. This person came and he asked for some roti. उसने कहा मुझे रोटी चाहिए. MashaAllah. We just have a commitment, a pledge for $5,000, and they're requesting everybody to please pray for their health and well-being. So let's do a loud salawat for their health and well-being. Bar Muhammad wa ali Muhammad salawat. Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajil farajum. खुदावंद करीम इनको सेहत दे, इनको शिफा दे और इनके रिज़्क़ में और वसअत दे. 5 दफ़ा let's recite Amma Yujibul for this person. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. أَمَّن يُجِيبُ الْمُضْطَرَّ إِذَا دَعَاهُ وَيَكْشِفُ السُّوءَ 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 Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajil farajum. We're down to just 4, and inshallah we do want to wrap it up. I am certainly over my time, but 4 more if we can get monthly commitments for $100 each, that would be fantastic. So the last thing I'll share here, trying to complete this thing that I started. तो साल ने सवाल किया इमाम से रोटी का. इमाम ने कंबर से कहा, जो कि इमाम के साबित है, इमाम ने कहा कंबर से कि इसे रोटी दे दो. कंबर ने कहा कि इमाम रोटी जो है वो तोशादान में है. इमाम ने कहा उसे तोशादान समेत दे दो. कंबर ने कहा कि इमाम तोशादान जो है वो संदूक में है. इमाम ने फरमाया उसे संदूक समेत दे दो. कंबर फरमाते हैं कि इमाम संदूक जो है वो ऊँट के ऊपर है. इमाम ने फरमाया उसको ऊंट समेत दे दो. As soon as Qambar heard that, Qambar ने ऊंट की महार परेशान होकर फौरन छोड़ दी, घबरा के छोड़ दी. इमाम ने पूछा कि तुम घबराए क्यों? उसने कंबर ने कहा कि इमाम आपकी सखावत इतनी है कि अगर मैं ये कहता कि उस ऊंट की महार मेरे हाथ में है तो आई वॉज अफ्रेड कि आप शायद ये कहते कि कंबर समेत दे दो. ये है हमारे इमाम की सखावत. माशाअल्लाह, we have another pledge for 3,000. बर मोहम्मद व आले मोहम्मद सल्लल्लाहु अल्लाहुम्मा सल्ली अला मोहम्मद व आले मोहम्मद व अज्जिल फरज. MashaAllah, we have another 3,000 pledge on the sister side. Bar Muhammad wa ali Muhammad salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajil farajim. And Musabba, you mentioned we have one more for $100 pledge. We have another one for $100. For $1,000, MashaAllah. Bar Muhammad wa ali Muhammad salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajil farajim. Atif, kuch keh rahe hain? Thank you. So we'll stop here. My apology for being over our time. And once again, I just cannot express my gratitude to every single one of you. Please remember this thing, you're not doing this thing for the center. You're doing this thing for yourself, for your children, and for all of us. So let's do a loud salawat for every single person who has been supporting the center, including every single one of our volunteers. And there are tons of people who work behind the scenes every single day. Most of them don't leave here until 2 or 3 o'clock at night, and they're back here again the very next morning. So let's do a loud salawat for the health, well-being for every single one of these people. Bar Muhammad wa ali Muhammad salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajil farajum. और मेरी दिली दुआ है कि खुदावंद करीम आपको कोई गम न दे सिवाय गम हुसैन के. बर मोहम्मद व आले मोहम्मद सल्लल्लाहु.
I don't think I've ever been in a Majlis in Muharram where I get a half an hour break in the middle of my Majlis. So it was a welcome break for me. I had, alhamdulillah, a cup of tea whilst you were doing a very important thing. But the next part of my lecture, and then we go into Masaib, inshallah, tonight is the night of Ashura, and we want to cry on Imam Hussein, because we want to be as part of that third group that we mentioned, where the intellectualization of the Imam, the analysis of the Imam, the logistics of the Imam, it now will traverse and get ingrained into our hearts. And then we are going to be very proudly able to say, Ya laytani kuntu ma'ak. If only I was there with you, O Aba Abdullah al-Hussein. I want to be with you, O Aba Abdullah al-Hussein. And I want you to understand that in the Quran, there is a beautiful ayah of Surah Al-Zumar. Surah Al-Zumar, there are 2 ayats of Surah Al-Zumar that are very, very interesting. In the ayah of Surah Al-Zumar, these are ayats that go to ayat number 71 and 74 of Surah Al-Zumar. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَسِيقَ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا إِلَى جَهَنَّمَ زُمَرًا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that the unbelievers will be dragged into hell in crowds. وَثِيقَ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا, yes, إِلَى جَهَنَّمَ ذُمَرًا. This word siq, وَثِيقَ الَّذِي, this word siq means they will be dragged against their will into Jahannam. Yeah? Now when you look at this ayah, it's understandable, yes? Nobody is going to want to, none of the unbelievers is going to want to go to hell voluntarily, right? They're going to resist to go to hell. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that these unbelievers will be dragged into hell in crowds. They won't go happily. They'll be forced, like you force a prisoner to go to a jail. Yeah? But then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَسِيقَ الَّذِينَ اتَّقَوْا رَبُّهُمْ إِلَى جَنَّةَ زُمَرًا. Allah says, وَسِيقَ الَّذِينَ اتَّقَوْا رَبُّهُمْ إِلَى جَنَّةَ زُمَرًا. And those people with taqwa, those people who are pious and fear their Lord, they will be dragged to heaven in crowds. Now this doesn't make sense, does it? You can understand that if you are an unbeliever, you are going to be dragged into hell. But if you are a person with taqwa, وَسِيقَ الَّذِينَ اتَّقَوْا, if you are a person with taqwa, رَبُّهُمْ إِلَى جَنَّةَ زُمَرًا, that you will be dragged into heaven in crowds. Same word, siq, you'll be dragged. So this doesn't make any sense, right? It's a little bit confusing. Because I gotta tell you, if Allah says to me, you're going to heaven, I'm gonna run to heaven, man, I don't need to be dragged. Right? I don't need to be dragged by the angels. I'm gonna make a beeline right into heaven. I'm not gonna look at anybody. Right? I'm saying, I'm gone. Right? So what does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mean when it says, وَسِيقَ الَّذِينَ اتَّقَوْا رَبُّهُمْ إِلَى جَنَّةَ زُمَرًا? You know, this verse, although confusing, there are many explanations for this. And there are different scholars who have given different explanations. Ayatollah Bashir Najafi, you know, he says that he looked for explanations. And he read so many different explanations, and he said none of them was satisfactory to him to explain this paradox. I can understand how the unbelievers will be dragged to hell, but I cannot understand how the people with taqwa will be dragged to heaven. Dragged to heaven. He said, I could not understand it. Until he says, I came onto some narrations of our holy imams, salawatullahi salamuhu alayhima. Yeah? And he says, when I looked at this, then I realized what is meant by this ayah. And these narrations are also found in Kamil Ziyarat. Yes? And the narration and explanation is that on the day of judgment, the servants of Imam Hussein alayhi salam will come forward. The servants of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. The servants who served for the cause of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. The servants who were responsible to propagate the message and the teachings of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. Those volunteers who ensured that the azaa of Imam Hussein alayhi salam is alive. Those people who established mourning ceremonies for Imam Hussein alayhi salam. Those people who gave their love and their time and their effort in serving the Imam alayhi salam for only one reason, and that was to gain the proximity of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And these people will be asked to come forward on the day of judgment. The servants of Imam Hussein. Yes? And for these people, there will be a special intercession by Abu Abdullah al-Hussein. And the angels will come unto them and they will say, O servants of Hussein, Imam Hussein has interceded on your behalf. It's a group, it's a crowd. Imam Hussein alayhi salam has interceded on your behalf. All your sins have been forgiven, and you are now you're invited to enter heaven. And these people will say that before we enter heaven, they're going to talk to the angels. They say, before we enter heaven, do we have permission, for we would like to see our master Imam Hussein. We want to see him. And they will say that in this world, we were not able to see his enlightened face. We only saw his dome. We only saw his shrine. We only saw the articles of azar that we kept out for him as we served him. We have not seen the face of Hussein. We want to see the enlightened face of our master. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will call Imam Hussein. It's the day of Qiyamah. Allah will call Imam Hussein and will say to Imam Hussein, come, let them have a glimpse of your enlightened face. And the master himself will come out. Congratulations to the servants of Imam Hussein. They will look at Abu Abdullah al-Hussein. They will look at his beauty and they will say to him, how could somebody have killed you, O Abu Abdullah? And they will just keep gazing at his illuminated face. And they will not get enough of the Imam. And look at the sabr of Imam. Look at the patience of Imam. Imam will not turn them away. Imam will not say to them that, okay, that's enough. Now I'm going and you go as well. Imam will not do that. He will stand there. He will let them do the ziyarah of the enlightened face of the Imam. They will just keep looking at him and they will say to him, "O Master, do not leave us. We are those servants, do not leave us." But then the angels will come forward. The angels will come to this crowd and he will say to this crowd, "Come to heaven, for heaven has been beautified for you. Your sins have been forgiven and heaven has been beautified for you." Ridwan, the angel in charge of the door of heaven, is waiting for you with a beautiful drink for you to drink as you enter heaven. And these servants of Imam Hussein will say to the angels that, "No, we do not want to go to heaven, for we are busy looking at the face of Hussein. This is our heaven. We don't want to go to heaven. Our heaven is looking at the face of Hussein." The angels will entice them. The angels will entice them. The angels will test them. But the angels will still treat them with respect and honor. And then the angels will tempt them. The angels will say to them, "You know, we invite you to bring your friends, your family and your brothers in faith with you. Come to heaven. Enough now. Come to heaven." And they will say, "No, we are busy visiting the face of Hussein. Hussein is our heaven." And that's when the angels will slowly pull their hands. They will not drag them, but they will slowly pull their hands and slowly bring them into heaven. They will not want to come, but with respect, the angels will bring them into heaven. And this is what is meant by this ayah of the Quran. وَسِيقَ الَّذِينَ اتَّقَوْا رَبَّهُمْ إِلَى جَنَّةِ زُمَرًا. Those who are with taqwa, those who are pious, they are the ones who will be dragged to heaven in crowds. That's what it means. Heaven is important for the servants of Imam Hussein, but they are looking at the beauty of the face of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein. For them, that is a higher level of Jannah. It's a higher level of Jannah. This is what is important. Understand that in order for us to gain that elevation towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we cannot gain elevation to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as Aba Abdullah Hussein says, the only way you can have a ma'rifah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the people of each time to have a ma'rifah of their imam and be fully obedient to their imam. The issue is about servitude. The issue is about servanthood. The issue is about ubudiyyat. How are you committed to Aba Abdullah al-Hussein? You know, all of us want to see our 12th Imam, don't we? Yeah? Who here does not want to do the ziyarah of the 12th Imam? Raise your hand. Huh? Everybody wants to see the Imam, don't they? Ayatollah Jawadi Amuli, he says that we put such emphasis on our efforts in trying to see the Imam. What is important is not that we see the Imam. What is important is the Imam notices us. Otherwise, there were many who were with the Imam. There were many who were with the Prophet. Yes? There was people like Mashriqi who were with Imam Hussein alayhi salam. To see the Imam, to be with him physically is not the issue. Ayatollah Jawadi Amuli say, you want the Imam to notice you and say, yes, Ya laytani kuntu ma'ak. He needs to be with me. This is what it means, yes? This is what is important. And so we come today on the day of Ashura. Soften your hearts for this night. For tonight we are remembering Babul Hawaij. The Babul Hawaij, who was the 6-month-old baby of Aba Abdullah al-Hussein. The enlightened face of Imam Hussein today is stricken with grief on the night of Ashura. And we remember his 6-month-old baby, Aliyun al-Asghar. On the day of Ashura, this battered Imam is tired. He has gathered the pieces of Hazrat Qasim. He has consolidated the arms of Abbas. He has pulled out the spear from the chest of Aliyun al-Akbar. He has laid the body of On and Muhammad outside the Khaymagah. Now he rises onto the sand dunes of Karbala and he says, Hal min nasirin yansuruna. That famous awaz of istighasa, Hal min nasirin yansuruna. Hal min yughisin mughisuna. Is there anyone to help me? When Imam says, is there anyone to help me? The wife of Aba Abdullah al-Hussein, Rabab, comes running out of the tent. She comes running out of the tent and she starts to signal to Imam Hussein alayhi salam. And she says to Imam Hussein alayhi salam, come immediately to the tent. Imam Hussein alayhi salam goes to the tent of Rabab and he says, Rabab, what is it? Why is it that you call me? And Rabab says, oh my master, when you said, Hal min nasirin yansuruna, when you gave the call of istighaza, our 6-month-old baby, Aliyun al-Asghar, he threw himself out of his cradle. Imam says, I understand, Rabab, give me my Ali Asghar. Give me my Ali Asghar, for he is very thirsty. Give me my Ali Asghar. Imam takes Ali Asghar. He takes his Aba and he shrouds Ali Asghar with his Aba. He covers Ali Asghar with his Aba. As Imam covers Ali Asghar with his Aba, he says to Rabab, Rabab, I'm going to take Ali Asghar into the battlefield of Karbala. As Imam is leaving, Rabab says to Imam, oh my master, be careful, for this is my 6-month-old baby. Please make sure that you bring him back, for I have seen whoever goes in that direction today, whoever has gone in that direction has not come back alive. Imam says to Rabab, I am not taking Ali Asghar for a battle. I am going to go and see if the army of Yazid will have some compassion on my 6-month-old baby. Maybe there are fathers in the army who may give a couple of drops of water to my Ali Asghar. Look at the mazlumiyat of my Imam. He now goes into the battlefield of Karbala. As Imam Abdullah goes into the battlefield of Karbala, the army gets confused. The army does not know. Imam has taken Ali Asghar. There is his abaya is shrouding Ali Asghar. Some of the army people say to themselves, I think Abu Abdullah has come with the Quran. Perhaps he's now going to invoke some bad dua. He will invoke some bad dua on us. It sounds like he has come with the Quran, but when Abu Abdullah gets into the middle of the battlefield, he takes out his abaya. He takes out his abaya. He puts Ali Asghar down onto the burning fields of Karbala. He says to the people, oh people, is there any amongst you who is a father of a small child? For if you are a father, have some compassion on my 6-month Ali Asghar. He is moments away from his death because of thirst. Is there anybody who will give some water to my Ali Asghar? The army starts to cry. Some of the people in the army start to weep. And Imam then says that I know, maybe you think that by giving water to Ali Asghar, maybe I will drink some of the water. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put Ali Asghar on the fields of Karbala, and I'm going to walk away a couple of steps. You come and give Ali Asghar some water. Nobody comes forward to give Ali Asghar water. Nobody comes forward to give Ali Asghar water. And then Imam Hussein does something amazing. He says to Ali Asghar, oh my son Ali Asghar, your father has done whatever he could. Now I'm leaving it up to you. You show them your thirst. The narrations say, Ali Asghar opens his mouth. He takes his dried tongue and he puts his dried tongue over his dried lips to show how much thirsty. That's what happens. And when they see this, Umar ibn Saad comes forward. Umar ibn Saad says to Abu Abdullah al-Hussein, oh Hussein, you still have a chance. You still have a chance. Do bayat of Yazid and I will give your small child water. Imam Hussein comes forward. He now picks up Ali Asghar. The narrations say that Imam says something in the ears of Ali Asghar. I have not found anywhere what Imam has said in the ears of Ali Asghar, but my heart says that perhaps Imam says to Ali Asghar, oh Ali Asghar, they are asking me to do bayat of Yazid. Oh, what is your opinion about this? And perhaps Ali Asghar would have told Imam, oh my father, tell Hurmala, why is he delaying what is... For it is not possible for Islam to be salvaged without my martyrdom. Azadaro, the Umar ibn Saad's army starts to cry. Umar ibn Saad now gets really upset. The army is crying. Hussein has Ali Asghar in his arms. Hussein has Ali Asghar in his arms. Azadaro, Umar Saad ek martaba Hurmala ke paas aata hai. हुरमला के पास आता है. हुरमला के पास उमर इब्न साद कहता है कि हुरमला इकता कलामुल हुसैन, हुसैन की इस निशानी को मिटा दे. अगर हुसैन की निशानी को नहीं मिटाया तो यहाँ करबला में एक जलजला आ जाएगा, ये पूरी फौज मुकर जाएगी. आज़ादार हुरमला ने पहला तीर लिया. तीर تیر کا نشانہ کیا، تیر زمین پہ گر گیا۔ ارملا نے دوسرا تیر لیا، تیر کا نشانہ کیا، تیر زمین پہ گر گیا۔ تیسرا تیر لیا، تیر کا نشانہ کیا، تیر زمین پہ گر گیا۔ عمر ابن سعد ہرملا کے پاس آ کے کہتا ہے، ہرملا تو میرے لشکر کا سب سے بڑا تیر انداز ہے، تجھے کیا ہو رہا ہے؟ یہ تیر گر کیوں رہے ہیں؟ ہرملا نے کہا، عمر ابن سعد میں جب بھی نشانہ لگاتا ہوں تو میری نظر حسین کے خیمے کی طرف پڑتی ہے، اور وہاں میں دیکھتا ہوں کہ ایک ماں ہے جو خیمے کے باہر چل رہی ہے اور بڑی بےتابی سے اپنے بچے کا انتظار کر رہی ہے اور دعا کرتی ہے کہ میرا بچہ سیلاب ہو کے واپس آ جائے۔ عزادارو، ہرملا نے تیر لگایا، یہ تیر حسین کی کلائی سے ہو کر معصوم کی گردن میں پیوست ہوا۔ عزادارو، معصوم کی گردن میں پیوست ہوا۔ میرا ایک سوال ہے، تیر کا کیا کام ہے؟ تیر جہاں لگتا ہے وہاں ایک شغاف بناتا ہے، تیر جہاں لگتا ہے وہاں ایک شغاف بناتا ہے۔ قرآن رکھیے میرے سر پہ، ہرملا کے تیر نے اصغر کی گردن پہ شغاف نہیں بنایا ہے۔ تبریسی امر والا لکھتا ہے، ذبحہ من الحزن الی الحزن، تیر نے اس بچے کو ایک کان سے دوسرے کان تک ذبح کر دیا۔ تیر نے اس بچے کو ایک کان سے لے کے دوسرے کان تک ذبح کر دیا۔ عزادارو، تیر ایک ہے، اسی میں باپ کی کلائی ہے، اسی میں بچے کی گردن ہے۔ اب حسین علی اصغر کی لاش لے کے خیمہ گاہ کی طرف آ رہے ہیں۔ مورخ لکھتے ہیں، اور ہم یہ اعمال عاشورہ میں کریں گے، حسین 7 مرتبہ آگے جاتے ہیں، انا للہ و انا الیہ راجعون، 7 مرتبہ واپس لوٹتے ہیں، رضاً بقضائہ و تسلیما لامری۔ عزادارو، آخر جب خیمہ گاہ تک پہنچے ہیں، حسین خیمہ گاہ تک پہنچے ہیں، رباب نے دیکھا علی اصغر کی گردن کو، رباب نے دیکھا، ماں نے جب ششمہ کو دیکھا ہے، ایک مرتبہ کہتی ہے، ہائے میرا اصغر، آقا ایک سوال کرنا چاہتی ہوں، کیا بچے ایسے ذبح کیے جاتے ہیں؟ کیا بچے ایسے ذبح کیے جاتے ہیں؟ اب عبداللہ رونے لگے۔ عزادارو، مورخ لکھتے ہیں کہ حسین نے اصغر کو لیا، ماں کے ہاتھوں میں دیا۔ اللہ اکبر، کیا منظر ہے عزادارو! حسین نے علی اصغر کو رباب کو دیا، رباب کو کہا کہ رباب میرے ساتھ چلو۔ رباب اب عبداللہ کے ساتھ آئی ہے۔ حسین بن علی اب خیمے کے پیچھے آئے، تلوار لی، ماں کے ہاتھ میں 6 مہینے کا ششمہ کی لاش ہے، باپ تلوار سے قبر کھود رہا ہے، باپ تلوار سے قبر کھود رہا ہے۔ ایتمت عیالی لکے اراک، بار الہ میں نے اپنے بچوں کو قربان کر دیا تاکہ میں تیرے ساتھ ہو سکوں، تاکہ میں تیرے ساتھ تیرے پاس پہنچ سکوں۔ عزادارو، باپ نے قبر کھود رہا ہے، ماں کے ہاتھ میں ششمہ کی لاش ہے۔ ایک مرتبہ حسین نے علی اصغر کو دفن کیا، حسین نے علی اصغر کو دفن کیا. شمر کو جب مختار کے دربار میں پوچھا گیا کہ سب سے وہ کون سا عمل تھا جو تم نے کربلا میں کیا جو تمہارے لیے بہت مشکل تھا، تو حرملا نے کہا کہ میرا وہ تیر جس تیر نے 6 مہینے ششما کو ذبح کیا وہ سب سے میرا مشکل مرحلہ تھا. عزادارو، اب حسین نے علی اصغر کو دفن کر دیا. عاشور کی شام ہوتی ہے. عاشور کی شام، جگر پہ ہاتھ رکھ کے یہ مصائب سننا. عزادارو، اگر رونے پہ آنسو نکلے تو باب الحوائج علی اصغر کا وسیلہ دینا، اللہ آپ کی حاجتوں کو پوری کرے گا. عزادارو، عاشور کی شام عمر ابن سعد نے کہا کہ سب لاشوں کو اکٹھا کیا جائے. عزادارو، عاشور کی شام سب لاشوں کو اکٹھا کیا گیا. عمر ابن سعد نے کہا ایک لاش کی کمی ہے. عمر ابن سعد نے کہا ایک لاش کی کمی ہے. بس لوگوں نے کہا کہ یہ علی اصغر کی لاش ہے، اور علی اصغر کی لاش حسین دفن کر چکے ہیں. علی اصغر کی لاش حسین دفن کر چکے ہیں. اب میں روایت پڑھتا ہوں، ریاض القس کی روایت ہے. ریاض القس میں یہ آپ کو روایت ملے گی. عمر ابن سعد نے اب حکم دیا، کہتا ہے کہ نہیں، مجھے علی اصغر کی لاش چاہیے، مجھے علی اصغر کی لاش چاہیے. عمر ابن سعد نے حکم دیا، فوجیوں کو، کچھ فوجیوں کو کہا تم گھوڑے پہ سوار ہو جاؤ. فوجی گھوڑے پہ سوار ہو گئے. اور پھر عمر ابن سعد نے کہا ان فوجیوں کو ہاتھ میں نیزہ دیا جائے. فوجیوں کو ہاتھ میں نیزہ دیا گیا. عمر ابن سعد نے کہا اب جا کے کربلا کے میدان کی تلاشی لو. عزادارو، ریاض القس میں ملتا ہے یہ فوجی وہاں سے نکلے ہاتھوں میں نیزے، کربلا کی زمین پہ نیزے مار رہے ہیں، علی اصغر کی لاش کو تلاش کر رہے ہیں. ایک وقت آتا ہے شمر نے نیزے کو مارا، علی اصغر کی لاش کو ملی. عزادارو، شمر نے علی اصغر کی لاش کو اٹھایا، علی اصغر کی لاش کو اٹھایا، آواز دی علی اصغر کی لاش میرے نیزے پہ ہے. یہ سننا تھا. رباب خیمے سے نکل گئی، ہائے میرا اصغر. سکینہ خیمے سے نکل گئی، کہتی ہے ہائے میرا بھائی. کربلا کے میدان میں 2 مرتبہ شہید ہوا ہے. پہلی مرتبہ حرملا کے تیر سے ذبح ہوا، دوسری مرتبہ شمر کے نیزے سے ذبح. آخری مصائب عزادارو، آخری مصائب. آج رونے کی رات ہے، آج رونے کی رات ہے عزادارو. آخری مصائب پڑھتا ہوں، آخری مصائب پڑھتا ہوں، اس کے بعد ماتم ہی ماتم ہے عزادارو. عزادارو، یہ لوٹا ہوا قافلہ، یہ کوٹا ہوا، میں نے شروع کیا تھا پہلی محرم کی رات کو میں نے علی اصغر کے بارے میں پڑھا تھا جناب صغرا کے ساتھ. جب مدینہ سے جا رہے تھے امام حسین تو علی اصغر صغرا سے لپٹ گیا تھا اور علی اصغر منع کر رہا تھا، وہ کہیں نہیں جائے گا. آپ نے شاید پر سنا ہوگا، پہلی رات کو میں نے پڑھا تھا. لیکن جب یہ لوٹا ہوا قافلہ واپس آیا ہے، ایک مرتبہ جناب زینب وہاں مدینے میں بیٹھ گئی، مسجد نبوی کے باہر جناب زینب بیٹھی ہے، اس کے بازو میں رباب بیٹھی ہے. عزادارو، صغرا آگے بڑھتی ہے. ان 2 بیویوں کے بیچ میں ابن الحسین صغرا کی بیٹی ان 2 بیویوں کے بیچ بیٹھ گئی. ایک مرتبہ جناب زینب سے کہا کہ پھوپھی ایک سوال کرنا چاہتی ہوں. کیا بات ہے بیٹی؟ جناب صغرا نے کہا سکینہ نظر نہیں آ رہی، سکینہ نظر نہیں آ رہی. جناب زینب نے کہا صغرا سے، صغرا نہ پوچھ، سکینہ شام کے دربار میں کام آ گئی، سکینہ شام کے دربار میں کام آ گئی. حسین کی بیٹی ہے، حسین کی بیٹی ہے، ابھی دل میں صبر ہے، حسین کی بیٹی ہے. لیکن پھر جناب صغرا یہاں وہاں کچھ ڈھونڈ رہی ہے، جناب صغرا کچھ یہاں وہاں ڈھونڈ رہی ہے. جناب زینب نے کہا بیٹی صغرا کیا ڈھونڈ رہی ہو؟ جناب صغرا نے کہا میں علی اصغر کو ڈھونڈ رہی ہوں، میں علی اصغر کو ڈھونڈ رہی ہوں۔ جب یہاں سے نکلا تھا تب چھوٹا سا بچہ تھا، شاید اب چلنے بھی لگا ہوگا، بس یہ سننا تھا۔ رباب طرف گئی، رباب نے کہا بیٹی صغرا آگے کچھ نہ پوچھنا، اصغر کربلا کے میدان میں 2 مرتبہ شہید ہوا ہے، حرملا نے اس کی گردن کو ذبح کیا، شمر نے نیزے سے علی اصغر کو ذبح کیا۔
ہو میرے لال کہاں، ہو میرے لال کہاں، ہائے جنگل کا وہ سناٹا، وہ پرہال فضا، اور ایسے میں کسی ٹوٹے ہوئے دل کی صدا، جیسے بچھڑی ہوئی اولاد کو ڈھونڈے کوئی ماں، ہو میرے لال کہاں، ہو میرے لال کہاں، زخم گردن کا خدا جانے دھلایا کہ نہیں، جسم سے خون بھرا کرتا وہ تارا کہ نہیں، کیا لہو زخم سے ناواک کے ابھی ہے رواں، ہو میرے لال کہاں، ہو میرے لال کہاں، تم گئے جب سے عجب حال ہے بیٹا میرا، کوئی صورت سے نہیں قلب سنبھلتا میرا، گود اجڑی تو نظر آتا ہے جھولا ویراں، ہو میرے لال کہاں، ہو میرے لال کہاں، کس کی آغوش ہے اس بن میں بسائی بیٹا، نیند کس طرح مجھے چھوڑ کے آئی بیٹا، ماں کو بھی پاس بلا لو، وہاں سوتے ہو جہاں، ہو میرے لال کہاں، Hussein, Ya 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 Hussein.